Hello students, welcome to Sreenath Academy. So in this video we are going to discuss the 16th chapter, which is light, from CBSE 8th class physics students. Okay, so now we will start our session. So my name is Karthik Nune. We are creating videos on all chapters on all subjects from class 6 to class 12. So please do subscribe our channel, also like and share our videos. Okay students, so without wasting time we are going to see what are the topics in this chapter light. After that we will discuss each topic in detail, and later we're going to see the overall summary of the whole chapter, students. Okay, so our present chapter name is light. In the topic, in that chapter we're going to discuss the topic what makes things visible. What makes things visible, how we are seeing the objects. Next is laws of reflection. Next thing is that, students, it is a regular and diffuse reflection. After that we are going to discuss reflected light can be reflected again. Once light is reflected, it can be reflected again also. So how it works, that is the thing we are going to discuss. And next thing is about multiple images, how we can get multiple images. So next thing is sunlight, whether the sunlight is white or colored. We have discussed that sunlight is white, but sometimes it is colored also. Why? That is the thing. Next thing is what is inside our eyes. So what is there inside our eyes, students? So with the help of these things, eyes, we are going to see the images. And next thing is care of the eyes. You have to take care about your eyes, students. And next thing is visually impaired persons can read and write. So there are some persons who are blind, whose eyes will not be worked. So even though their eyes not work well, they are defected, they even they can read and write. How? Next thing is what is Braille system. So with the help of the Braille system only, the visually impaired persons will read and write, students. So these are the beautiful topics we are going to discuss now. We're going to gain some knowledge about light and how we will see objects or images formed like that, students. So this is the overall overview of our present chapter, which is light, students. Now we will discuss what makes things visible. So we are seeing objects. There are so many objects around us. There are lights, mobiles, animals, wooden materials, or the electric materials, whatever it be. There is a beautiful colorful world around us. So we are seeing this beautiful colorful world. Okay, that's okay, but how we are seeing those things, how we are seeing this beautiful world? So what makes these things visible? What makes these things visible? Then our answer is that with the help of our eyes we are able to see the things around us. So we say that is the answer to that question. So with the help of eyes only we are seeing, sir. Okay, I request you, so I accept you. With the help of eyes we are seeing this beautiful world which is around us. Okay, so what happens if suddenly current is blocked, or power is off, or what happens if it is a night time and if there is no power? So in the dark, whenever there is no light, can you able to see the things around you? Obviously no, we can't see the things around us when there is no light. So what makes things visible means, what makes things visible? So through our eyes we are seeing. In addition to it, light. What is, students? Light. So with the help of our eyes we can see the things around us, we can see the objects around us. But if there is no light, even though if you are having the eyes, we can't see the beautiful world around us. So how light helping us means, basically if there is an object there is any object, whatever it may be. So what happens if light from it enters into your eyes? If light from it enters into your eyes, then only you can see those objects. If what happens in the dark, light from these objects will not enter into your eyes. That's why you are not that's why the things are not visible to us. So light from objects, when it enters into your eyes, you can see. So how light can travel or travel from objects means, basically there are two things. One thing is, if light falls on objects, it will reflect it and comes back to your eyes. That is the one thing. What is the next thing is, some objects are some objects illuminate themselves. Suppose lights, if you take bulbs, if you take sun, they will emit light. They will emit light by itself. So if any object emit light itself, that light enters into your eyes, then you can see those objects. Or if any object emit lights and that light rays, that light falls on any objects and that light reflected from that object and comes back to your eyes, then in that case also you can see. So basically, if you want to see the things, if you want to see the beautiful world around us, we need the eyes. With the help of eyes we can see, and we also need the light. The light may be reflected. Okay students, so in the previous class 7th, we have discussed that mirrors. So mirrors, polished shiny surfaces can act as mirrors, and whenever the light falls on these mirrors, that light will get reflected, and this reflected light enters into your eyes, then you will see the images, students. Okay, so these are the things about what makes things visible. So because of eyes and because of the light, whenever the light is coming from an object, or whenever the light is reflected from the objects. In this situation, how light can be reflected means by means of mirrors or by means of any objects. Okay students, so this is the thing. So finally our discussion about first topic is completed, students. Now we will discuss what are laws of reflection. So to understand this, we are going to do an activity, students. So take a comb and take a black paper. So first take the comb and incident light on it, and for light on it by using torch or anything. So you will observe that this type of narrow rays will fall. So if it is a comb, whenever your incident light on from this side, what happens? The light will comes like a rays, straight lines, students. Okay, so we call this as a ray of light, students. What it is? A ray of light. So what we have to do is take a comb and close it with a black paper, so that it has a small opening at in the middle, students. So what happens? You have closed this whole comb. No, that's why only one ray will passes through the comb due to the opening in the middle. So we called it as the ray of light. So what happens after some distance, place a glass mirror. What you have to place a glass mirror. So what happens whenever you're placing a glass mirror? The light rays which is falling on the glass mirror, we know that mirrors will reflect light. So light will reflect it. So now the light which is falling on the mirror, we call this as the incident ray, students. Incident ray. And the light which is reflected and coming back, we call this as the reflected ray, students. Okay, this is the incident ray and this is the reflected ray, students. Now what we have to do is using the help of your friends, so make a if this is the path of the light, draw the path of light, and this is the path of the reflected ray in the experiment. So what we have to do is we have to draw a straight line. Okay students, and now remove all those apparatus, and what you have to do is, so you have to this is the plane mirror. Okay students, this is the plane mirror you have placed, and at this point light is incidented, and in this direction that light is incidented. So draw a line along the light path, and in this direction that light is reflected from the mirror. So you have to draw a line again in this direction. Okay students, so finally this is the thing. So now what we have to do is you have to draw a straight line which is making 90 degrees to this mirror. Okay students, so this is the mirror. First draw the mirror like a straight line like this. After that, to that mirror surface, draw a straight line which is 90 degrees to the mirror, students. So now measure the angle of incidence. So how you will measure the angle of incidence, or what is meant by angle of incidence? So basically incident ray is coming in this direction, so the angle between the incident ray and this ray which is making 90 degrees, so basically we call this as the normal, students, normal. So the straight line which is perpendicular to the mirror surface, mirror plane, and making 90 degrees is called normal, and this is called as the incident ray, and this is called as the reflected ray, students. Okay, reflected ray. So what you have to do is you have to measure the angle between the incident ray and the normal ray. Okay students, and one more thing is we have to measure the angle between reflected ray and normal ray. So what you will observe, students, what you will observe, so the angle between incident ray and normal ray called as angle of incidence. What is, students? Angle of incidence. We say that represent it is angle. We will represent angle by this symbol. No, this is I. So what is the angle of incidence? The angle between incident ray, the angle between incident ray and normal, incident ray and normal. Okay students, normal, we call that as the angle of incidence. Then what is angle of reflection? There is another thing, that is angle of reflection. What is the angle of reflection, students? The angle of reflection is delta R. I am writing R as this, students. Please don't be confused with this R. Okay students, so the angle between reflected ray, previous case we have discussed incident ray. So now the angle between reflected ray and normal ray, or normal, and this normal. So this angle we call it as angle R, and this angle we call this as angle I, called as angle of reflection, students. So what you have to do is you have to measure the angle of incidence and angle of reflection several cases, students. So how you have to do is, in this experiment you have to change the angle of incidence, which means in this direction we have applied the light. Now we have to change this direction like that, and now we have to apply light in this direction, or you have to apply light in this direction. That's why you have to change the angle of incidence and observe the angle of reflection and fill this table. So finally what is our conclusion is that, students, what is our conclusion from this activity is that angle of incidence is equal to angle of refraction. What is, students? Angle of, in every case angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. So this is the thing you will observe, students. Angle of incidence is equals to angle of reflection. So this is the one of the laws of reflection. So what is our topic name, students? That laws of reflection. So this is one of the laws of reflection, students. What is the first law? In the laws of reflection, that is angle of incidence equal to angle of refraction. So that is the first law, students. So now we will see next one more thing law in the laws of reflection. What is that? So another activity. So do the same as it is in the previous case, but what you have to do is now take the white chart like that, friends. Okay, for doing this experiment. So whenever you're doing this experiment, so this white chart is it is one type of plane, and the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection, or the incident ray or the reflected ray and the normal all lies in the one plane. That plane is the plane of paper. So whenever you are bending the paper, what happened? You will not observe the reflected ray. So why? Because means you will not observe means its plane of incidence is disturbed. Okay students, sorry, its plane is disturbed students. So finally, what is the thing is students? The incident ray, normal ray and the point of incidence and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. So this is the first thing students in the case of laws of reflection, and this is the second thing. What is that students? The incident ray. So we know there is incident ray, and the incident ray, the normal, and there is a normal at the point of incidence and the reflected ray, So all these lies in one plane students. Okay, all these reflected ray all lie in same plane. Okay students, so this is the incident ray students, this is the point of incidence students, this is the reflected ray students. So all this incident ray, this reflected ray and this point of this normal all lies in the same plane. So that's why you are getting the reflected ray in the case of first scenario. But whenever you are bending the paper, what happened? In those situation you are not able to observe the reflected ray. But whenever you are bringing back it to the original position, you are observing the reflected ray. And you are bringing back, you are observing the reflected ray. Why? Because means it says that whenever the reflected ray, incident ray, normal all always lies in the same plane. So whenever the plane is changed, you can't observe it. Okay students, so that is the thing. So you have to remember two things in the case of laws of reflection. What is the thing? That is angle of incidence equal to angle of refraction. What is the angle of incidence? The angle between incident ray and normal. What is the angle of reflection? The angle between the reflected ray and normal. Next thing is the incident ray and the normal ray and the reflected ray. So this is incident, normal, reflected ray all lies in the same plane only. Whenever they lies in the same plane only, then only you can observe. If you change the plane, we can't see it. So finally our discussion, next activity is the students. So what happened in this case? Also there is a mirror and there is a object to watch students. So you are seeing from here, you will see this object in the mirror. You will see that object in the mirror students. So why you so if you see that object, you will see that object image in the mirror at the same distance. So we call this image as the virtual image students, virtual image. So in the mirror you will see, in the mirror you will see students, that image will be seen in the mirror. Okay students, so in the case of your 7th class also students, we have studied that study about mirrors, images like that students. Okay, so one more thing we have studied is that whenever if the right will looks like left and left will looks like right in the mirror students, so that we called as the lateral inversion. What is students? Lateral inversion students. So that is about the previous knowledge students. So finally our discussion about laws of reflection is completed. Now we will discuss about regular and diffuse reflection students. So we have studied about what is reflection and how reflection takes place. So basically, if this is the plane mirror, when if suppose this incident ray is falling at this point on a plane mirror, if you draw a normal to it, if it makes some angle I, then it will reflect back with the same angle. With the same angle of I equal to angle of R. So that is the thing. So if there is incident ray, then what is the direction of reflected ray? We can say easily by finding the angle between the normal and incident ray. With the same angle, it will goes back into the reflected ray direction students. So this is the angle of reflection, how reflection works, how incident ray will get reflected, with how much angle it will reflected, with what angle it will reflected. So these are the things we have discussed. Now we are going to discuss about regular and diffuse reflection students. So whenever parallel light rays or incident parallel light rays parallel light rays are incident on a irregular surface. What happens, students? Irregular surface. What happens, even though all those are the parallel lines, whenever they are incident on a irregular surface, the reflections will be like that. So sir, why these reflections are like that, students? Why sir means, so in every case what happens, whenever light ray is incidented at that point, you have to draw a normal at that point, and you have to measure the angle of incidence. Then you with the help of angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection, the reflected light will go on, students. So here, so at every point laws of reflection is followed. So the light ray is reflected according to the laws of reflection. So here this light rays goes in this direction. Why? Because means if you draw a normal here, this angle and this angle is here, but in this case it is going in this direction. Why? Because means if you draw a normal at here, it will comes like that. So at every place, at every point, reflection always depending upon the laws of reflection. Then what is the laws of reflection? Angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection, students. So whenever there is irregular surface, the normals are irregular, so that's why the angles made with the normals is equals to the angles made with the reflection. That's the rule have to be followed like that, students. So in this case the reflection we call as the diffused or irregular reflection, students. Diffused reflection. Even though incident rays are parallel, but the reflection is diffused reflection due to the irregular surfaces, students. So irregular surface, diffused or irregular reflection. Okay, students. So whenever the parallel rays are incident on a smooth or plane, smooth surface like mirror, smooth surface like mirror. In this case, what happens, friends? So whenever the light rays are falling here, so at every point it is a straight and smooth mirror like surface. So at every point on the mirror, normals are perpendicular to the mirror, which are in the same direction. So the incidental rays are parallel rays, so they are making some angle with the normal, so it will reflected with some angle. So reflected rays will also looks like parallel, students, due to the smooth surface. So in this case, what happened? We call that as the regular reflection. What is, students? Regular reflection. Why regular reflection? It is due to the smooth plane mirror surface. That's why there is a regular reflection. So at every point of time, at every point of incidence, that reflection is always depending upon the laws of refraction, students. That's it, students. So we have discussed about diffuse reflection and regular reflection. That topic is also completed. So now we will discuss that fourth topic, reflected light can reflected again. Reflected light can be reflected again. So if there is a mirror, if there is incident light, this is the reflected light. So this reflected light, suppose if incident on another plane mirror, then it also get again reflected. So this is the thing, students. Reflected light. So this is the reflected, this is the incident, and this is the reflected. So if there is a reflected light, that can be reflected again. So where you see these things, students? So whenever you went to do the hairdresser or a salon shop, what happens after the haircut is completed? So the person, he will shows you, he will place a plane mirror back side of you, so that you can see how much haircut has done. So in this case, how you are able to see the back side of your head, even though you are facing towards this thing, students? So I will explain you. So what happens? Basically, light falls on this plane mirror, students. So basically light falls on your head, back side of your head, and this back side of your head, after reflection the light comes to the plane mirror, so the mirror which is holding by the person. So the light this is, so whenever light comes an incident on your head, it will be reflected. So this is the reflector light, and this in reflected, what happens, this will enter, or this will incident again on plane mirror which is backside. So whenever there is a plane mirror, so it will get a regular reflection, so that's why it will again reflected like this. So whenever it is reflected, another one more time it is installed on this big plane mirror, so again it is incidented and again it reflected and enters to your eyes, so that you are seeing. So here what happens, it is reflected almost 3 times, students, almost 3 times. First reflection is at your head, second reflection is at this mirror, third reflection is at this big mirror, so finally enters into your eyes, students. So that reflected light is again going to reflected. So for that reason only you are going to see the back side of your head, students. Okay, so basically in class 6 also we have studied about discussed an activity on periscopes. In the periscopes there are 2 plane mirrors, no, students. So this periscopes, with the help of periscopes, with the help of reflection, we can see objects which are outside. So basically periscopes were used by soldiers in bunkers and in submarines, like that, students, so to see what the things outside. Okay, students, so that is the thing, students. So this is the thing about reflector, that it can be reflected. So in this case also what happened, this is your head, no, light falls on your head and it is reflected, and this is a small mirror, and again it reflected, and again it reflected and goes to, this is a big mirror, and again it comes to your eyes. So one time reflection, second time reflection, third time reflection, that once reflected it is again reflected. So at every point of time, students, that reflection is purely depending upon the laws of reflection. Okay, students, so that's it, this topic is also completed. So we are now going to discuss about multiple images, students. We know whenever there is a plane mirror, what happens, you know that you will get one single image. What is, students? Single image. So is it possible to get multiple images? So again we will get into the case of hairdresser, or in the case of barber shop, or in the case of saloon. So have you ever have an experience of seeing so many images of you in the barber shop, students? Suppose you are sitting here, and if there is a mirror front side of you, and if there is a mirror back side of you, in these situations you will see that there are multiple images in the barber shop, you will see. So this is the practical example, students. Now we will understand that topic, that concept, students. So we know that whenever this is plane mirror, single plane mirror, you will get single image. So what happens if there are 2 plane mirrors? What happens whenever they are combined? So suppose if you take 2 plane mirrors, so which are at 90 degrees, how many degrees? 90 degrees placed, and one edge is touched like this. So students, now place a rupee coin here. So how many images you will observe? Note that number. And next thing is the angle between the 2 mirrors is changed by 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 120 degrees and 180 degrees. So place the angles between the 2 mirrors like that. So and in each case observe how many number of images you are getting. So one more thing, finally what is our conclusion, students? If the 2 plane mirrors are kept parallel to each other, kept opposite to each other, you will get multiple images, friends. You will get multiple images. So if this is a plane mirror, and if it is a plane mirror, and suppose if there is any object, plane mirror, mirror, and this is the object. So what in this case you will get multiple images, students. So this is the thing. So if the angle between the 2 plane mirrors is the if the 2 plane mirrors are parallel to each other, in this case you will get multiple images, students. Okay, so whenever they are parallel to each other, you will get multiple images. Practical example is in the case of what, students? In the case of barber shop. Sir, how it is possible? Means basically the light from this object falls on this mirror. Okay, students, light from this object falls on this mirror, it will reflected and it comes to incident on this mirror, and again it is also mirror. No, it is get reflected. So a light from here, it is a falls on it, here you will get image, and the light will comes and it will falls on it, here also you will get image, and again it will reflected here, and here also you will get, and again it will reflected here, here also image, and again it will reflected, again it reflected, again, and at every point on the plane mirror. So what happened? You will see multiple images. So how this reflection is done? According to laws of reflection, angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection, students. So this is the concept behind what is, students? Concept behind multiple images, students. Okay, so kaleidoscope, in this kaleidoscope plane mirrors are placed opposite to each other so that you will get multiple images, students. Okay, so finally this topic is also completed, students. Sunlight, does it white or colored? So we will see whenever there is a sunlight. So we have discussed in our previous class also, in the class 7, that sunlight is white colored. So but sometimes sunlight is colored, it has some color. So what is the real thing? So if you do this activity, so what is this activity? So what we have to do is take a plain mirror and take some water in a bowl and kept this mirror at near a window, near the window. So adjust the position of the plain mirror so that the image will be formed on the wall. So if the wall is colored, so place a white paper on the wall so that you will get an image. So in this case you will see that you will see the rainbow like colors. So rainbow like colors. So what happened here? Here basically what we have discussed, that sunlight is a white in color. Sunlight is white in color, but whenever you are finding the image of the sunlight, so what happens? It is getting as a colored, different colors in it. So what is the reason for it? So we call that splitting of white light, splitting of white light into colors. So what happens, that white light is splitted into different colors. We call this as the dispersion of light. This concept is called dispersion. So you will see the rainbow. Rainbow is the natural phenomena of dispersion, students. So in the white light there are 7 colors. In the white light there are different colors. So white light is what? White light is nothing but mixture of, or the combination of different colors, students. Okay, so that's why that our sunlight is a white, we accept it. So sometimes it is looking, giving some colors. Why? Because means white light is nothing but combination of different colors. Okay, students, so by this activity you will know that sunlight will get split into different colors. It has that ability. So if you basically this function or this activity will be done easily with that with the prism. So whenever the white light is incident on your prism, then what happens? The light will be splitted, colors will be splitted, white light will be slitted, students. So that is also done with the plane mirror with some water. Here also that refraction is going to done, students. This is, you will learn about this in the higher class. So one thing we have to remember is sunlight is white, we will accept it, and that white color consists of 7 colors. That splitting of white light in different colors is called dispersion. And rainbow is the natural example or the natural phenomena due to dispersion. That's it, students. So this topic is also completed. So now we'll discuss what is inside our eyes, students. What is there inside our eyes? So we know whenever the light falls on some objects, and whenever the light coming from objects, whenever it enters into our eyes, then only we are able to see the things, objects. Then only objects are visible to us. So whenever the light is entering into our eye, light is entering into our eye, what happened inside our eyes, what are there inside our eye, students. So our eye is a beautiful thing. It is the important and sensitive organ in our body, students. Okay, so it is the very beautiful thing. It is the very important organ in our body, students. So eyes have a roughly spherical shape. So it has a spherical shape, students, roughly spherical shape. So outer coat of the eye is white. So we see that our outer coat of our eye is white in color. So in the middle of the white color, we can see that there is some black. We call that as a iris, students. What it is? Iris. So basically they call it as cornea, students. So what is this is the structure of eye, students, and all this is the white color. So this is the thing we call this, it is protected from one thing that is called as the cornea, students. So what it is? Cornea. So inside this cornea there is a dark muscular structure. So there is a black in your eyes, no? So we call that black colored structure, we call it as the iris, students. What it is? Iris. So in the middle of the iris there is some small sized opening, we call that as the pupil. So if you see here, so this is the eye, students. So this is the white color and this is the cornea. Okay, students, and in this is called, and this black spot in the middle we called it as the pupil. What is, students? Pupil. Black color we called it as the iris, and whole it is covered with cornea, students. Okay, so through the pupil, what happens, students? Light is entered into our eye, students. So amount of light entering into our is controlled by the iris, students. So this is the iris. So this iris has the capacity to adjust the size of the pupil. If the pupil size is adjusted like such that sometimes maximum light is entered, sometimes small amount of light is entered. So by changing the size of the pupil, students, by iris do this task, students. So whenever there is very heavy light, high intensity light on the outside, so this pupil size is decreased and very small amount is allowed. So whenever there is dim light, whenever there is no low light conditions, what happens? This size is increased and maximum light is allowed to pass through the entry into the eye, students. Okay, this is the work of the iris, students. Okay, students, and some iris, students. Okay, next thing is that, students, so we know light enters into our eye. So what happens next? So there is a lens, students. Here there is a lens. Light enters into our eye through the pupil and it falls on the lens. So due to the help of the lens, what happens? Image is formed. Due to the help of lens, image is formed. So that image of the objects around us is formed. In the case of image is formed on the retina, which is on the back side of the eye. On that place image is formed, students. So this lens is thick at the center, students. Okay, image will be formed at the retina, students, and to this retina optic nerves are connected. So optic nerve is connected, students. Okay, and this retina contains several nerve cells, students. So this retina will contain several nerve cells. So these nerve cells are then transmitted to the brain through optic nerve. So what happens? This retina will contain nerve cells. What are those, students? Nerve cells. So with the help of these nerve cells, these are connected these are connected to optic nerve. So from these signals are transmitted to brain, students. So there are two kinds of cells, students. Nerve cells are two kinds. Two types. One is cones, another thing is rods, students. These two types of cells are there in our these two types of nerve cells are there in our retina. Okay, students. So what cones will do? Cones which are sensitive to bright light. So which are sensitive to bright light, students. Okay, and the rods which are sensitive to dim light, students. Dim light. So cones will sense color at the junction of the optic nerve and the retina. So at the junction of optic nerve and retina. So this is the optic nerve, students, and this is the retina, students. So retina, optic nerve, at this junction what happens, there are no sensory cells, so no vision is possible at that spot. So there are some area, on that area there is no sensory cells, no vision is possible, so we call that as the blind spot. What is, students? Blind spot, students. Okay, so this is the thing about eye, students. Okay, so and one more thing is what happens, that image is formed on retina, and the image which is formed on retina will not be destroyed immediately or will not be vanished immediately. It will there up to 1/16th of second. It will resist, it will there until 1/16th time of a second, student. So if image is changed, so if still image of a moving object or flash, so whenever a object is moving, students, what happened, so whenever object is moving, so it is there, so its image will comes. If it is there, its image will also image will be also formed on the retina, students. So whenever that object is moving, or objects images are falling on the eye at a rate of faster than 16 per second. 16 per second. If 16 images are 16 image in the span of 1 second, if the 16 images are produced, then we say that object is moving. So it looks like a video, otherwise it will looks like a photo, students. So whenever the photo converts to video in the science of our eye, students, suppose if the photo or the images are changing, if the images changing 16 images in the span of 1 second, if 16 images are produced, then we say that object is moved. It will convert like a motion. So otherwise, if there are no the 16 images are not produced in the span of second, then it looks like just an image, students. Okay, so our eye is a beautiful thing, and with the help of it only we are seeing beautiful images and beautiful world. And eye is having the eyelids, so whenever we don't need to see, that eyelids will be shut down, students. So, and one more thing is we have to if you want to read and if you want to write, so you have to place the objects or the book at the distance of 25 centimeters from your eyes, students. So if you place at the distance, you will didn't get any stress, and it will be able to read and write carefully with healthy. Okay, students. So for some persons, what happened, they can't see the objects which are in the long distance, and some persons they can't see the objects which are nearby them. So these are the defects of the eye, students. And basically whenever you are becoming old, what happened, our eyesight will becomes foggy due to the eye lens becoming cloudy. So whenever eye lens becomes cloudy, so images will be like foggy, like that we can't able to see clearly, students. Okay, so this is because of our old age, students. So we say that is the loss of vision. So if the loss of vision is extremely severe, so in our modern generation, what happens, there is some technologies, there are some treatments. So using modern technology, so what happens, students, we can replace our eye lens with some new artificial lens. We can replace our eye lens with new artificial lens, students, so that you will get see the images, students. So this is the thing about our eye, which is helping to see the objects. This topic is completed. So now we will discuss about the care of the eyes. Okay, students, care of the eyes. You have to take some care about your eyes, students. Okay, so our eye is a very, very beautiful, very, very sensitive organ, important organ, students. So we must have some care, must care. So why? Because means if you didn't take care about your eye, you will get some problems. So due to that problems, you may lost your vision, or your vision may be somewhat decreased your vision capacity. So what is the thing is, students, if you have any problem in your eye, we have to go to the eye specialist. So if you are advised, we have to wear the spectacles. So we have to don't allow too much highlight or too much low light on your eye. So due to these things, your eye will strain. So sufficient amount of light is better for your eye, students, and do not directly expose or directly see the sunlight or directly see the laser light. Okay, students, laser touch, so that your eyes may be, your retina may be damaged. Okay, students, and one more thing is that, students, so never rub your eyes like that. If something is stuck on your eyes, never rub your eyes like that. So clean your eyes, wash your eyes with water. It is the better thing. So, and the thing, and one more thing is that, students, we have to read or write whatever. If you are doing it, you have to place the books at a normal distance, which is 25 centimeters from your eye, students. So that is the good thing. And we have learnt in the class 6th, that is food. If you have a balanced diet, good food, then you are healthy. So in order to get your eyes healthy, you have to take good vitamins and good minerals. So if for the case of eyes, vitamin A, which is the most important thing. What is thing, students? Vitamin A. So you will have the surplus of vitamin A in your body, so that you have to eat that vitamin A. Okay, students, so if you have the deficiency of vitamin A, you will get night blindness, students. Okay, so one should have to eat vitamin A foods. So that contains basically raw carrots will contain vitamin A, broccoli, green vegetables such as spinach, and cod liver oil are all rich in vitamin A, students. And one of different other sources for vitamin A are, students, that is eggs, milk, curd, cheese, butter, and fruits such as papaya and mango are also rich in vitamin A, students. Okay, these are the foods which are good in vitamin A. You have to eat them properly, so you will get enough amounts of vitamin A in your body. Then your eyes will be healthy, then your eyesight will be healthy, then you are able to see, students. Okay, that's it, students. So students, one more thing, students, so here on the top side I am leaving the I button, so please press on it so that you will get the full chapter playlist. Okay, students, so don't forget to press on it, students. Okay, so finally our topic discussion about care of the eyes is completed. Now we will discuss the topic, that is visually impaired persons can read and write. Is it, students? Visually impaired persons, which means some persons which do not have proper vision, and their eye may be defected, they may lost their eye, so that persons can also read and write. Is it possible? Is it a shocking news for you? So it's not at all a shocking news, students. Yes, some persons which are visually impaired, they can also read and write. Then how? So we will see about the students. So what happens, students? Some persons are visually impaired, so some lost their vision by due to from birth. Some lost their vision, and due to some injuries, some accidents, some of the children or some of the persons will lost their vision, or due to some diseases also they lost their vision, students. So in that cases, what happens? They don't see the world around us. So in that cases, how they will live or how they will do the things or task means, they will use the other sense organs, that is touching, listening. So using those touching and listening senses, and they will find out, and they will find out, students. Okay, so whenever if anybody's eye sense is lost, then other senses will have been provided with great power capabilities, high capabilities, students. Okay, that is the thing. So what is the Braille system? So we know that visually impaired persons can read and write. How they can read and write is basically using the Braille system. They can read and write. So they're having no eyes, How can they read and write? Means they have touching sense, touching and listening. Touching and listening, these two sense organs they have. So they using the touching sense. By that they can read. Okay students, so who is Braille? So Braille is a visually impaired person, students. So he founded that this Braille system, so it will be helpful for the visually impaired persons, students. Okay, that present system was adopted in 1932, students. There is a Braille code for common languages. So there will be a Braille code for common languages. For common languages, there will be Braille code, students. So using this Braille code, one can read, one can write, one can listen, students. So many Indian languages cannot be read using the Braille system. So many Indian languages can also be read using the Braille system, students. Okay, and visually impaired persons will learn Braille system, students. They start learning by beginning their learning by letters. First they will learn about letters, after that they will learn about special characters, after that they will learn about letter combinations, students. So methods depend upon recognition by touching. So how they will learn is by touching, by touch sensation they will learn, students. So each character has to be memorized. So what they have to do is they have to memorize each character. Whenever you are touching one character or one letter, how it looks like, how it feels, so they have to remember the feelings. They have to how it feels when you are touching, so they have to remember, students. Okay, so Braille texts can be produced by hand or by machine also. So how we will produce the Braille text? They can be produced by hand or by machine also, students. So typewriter like devices and printing machines have now been developed to for Braille system, students. So finally our chapter is completed, students. Our chapter is completed. Now we'll see the full revision or the full summary of the chapter light, students. So basically what makes things visible, students? So through the eye we can see the things, but even though if you have the eyes, even though if there is no light, in that case you can't see we can't see things. So with the help of eyes, and whenever the light falls on objects, whenever the light from the objects enter into your eyes, then only you can see. If there is no light, there will be no vision. If there is no eyes, there will be no vision. So these are the both two important things, then only our things will be visible, students. Okay, then laws of reflection. What are the laws of reflection, students? So laws of reflection is that, students, angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. So what is the angle of incidence? The angle between the incident ray and normal ray. What is the angle of reflection? The angle between the reflected ray and normal ray. So what is the incident ray and what is the reflected ray? Whenever you are incidenting some light from torch, light from any source which is incidenting on a plane mirror at some point, we call that as the incident ray. Whenever after incidenting on a plane mirror, whenever it is get reflected back, we call that as the reflected ray. And what is the normal? So to the plane surface or to the mirror, you have to draw a line which is 90 degrees to the plane surface or the mirror. We call that as the normal, students. So in the laws of reflection, angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. And one more thing is the incident ray, the normal and the reflected ray all lies in the one plane. Okay, students, this is the thing about laws of reflection. Next thing is regular and diffused reflection. So whenever a parallel rays are incident on an irregular surface, what happens? The reflection will be irregular. So we call that as the diffused reflection or irregular reflection, students. So at any point of time, at any point on incidence, reflection is purely depending upon the laws of reflection, students. And whenever the parallel rays are inclined on a smooth plane surface or smooth mirror, what happens? You will see that reflected rays will also are in a parallel. So we call that as the regular reflection. So next thing is about, students, reflected light can be reflected again. So if there is a light, if it is reflected again, it can be reflected. We will see this in the case of barber shops, like in this picture. So the light from the head incident on it, reflected on the big mirror, again reflected on the big mirror. Like that, light can be reflected once and once, and so multiple images. So whenever if you use a plane mirror, you will get single image, but when you use two plane mirrors, will get different images. Whenever the plane mirrors are parallel, then you will get multiple images. Okay students, next thing is about sunlight. So basically sunlight is white, so sometimes sunlight is also colored. Why? Because means basically that sunlight is consists of a 7 colors. So splitting of white light into 7 colors, we call it as the dispersion, students. Okay, so white light is the combination of 7 colors, students. Okay, next thing is what is inside our eyes. So we have discussed about the structure of eyes. There are lens, iris, cornea and retina, all those things in our eyes, students. And basically the important cells are cones and rods. Cones absorb sensitive to bright light and rods are sensitive to dim light, students. And next thing is that, students, whenever 16 images per second, then only you can see that objects are moving, students. Okay, the safest comfortable distance is 25 centimeters to read and write, students. You have to take care about your eyes, students. So you have to take care about your eyes, and you have to take good food, vitamin A rich food, so that your eyes will be good. And there are some persons who are visually impaired persons due to their some problems, due to some accidents or due to some injuries or due to some diseases, or from birth they lost their vision. So those people can observe, or those people can study, read or write using Braille system. So by Braille code, there are Braille code for common languages. By touching, you have to remember the Braille code so that you can understand difference. So finally our chapter is completed. Our summary is also completed, students. So on the right side of this, there is a playlist, students. So there is a full chapter playlist for you, students. So please click on it. You will get the full chapter details, full chapter videos, students. And on the top side you are having the subscribe button. Don't forget to subscribe Sreenath Academy YouTube channel, students. So also like our videos, share our videos, follow on Instagram and join our Telegram channel, students. Okay, if you have any doubts, please feel free to comment below, students. Have a nice day. Keep smiling. Bye bye.